Hello everyone, Hossein here from PoseIQ. So we all do physical activities here, hopefully. And as you are doing it, you notice a couple of things here that you there usually people think of, oh, how well I'm doing something, or am I doing it properly? And sometimes, if we go even deeper into that, say, okay, can I avoid any injuries, right? So there are two things, even biomechanics people like focus a lot on these two, right? So how well I'm doing it, and how can I improve my performance, and am I doing it well? So let's just have a look at one of an example. In karate, they call it geri. Let me see if I do it here. Yeah, this one. So see what we can do to help. You don't need huge biomechanic background, but some intuition, right? So imagine that we are there, this person, like imagine this is me, all right? So this is the idea, right? We want to do this. So how can we do that? So assume that we don't have any kind of muscles. So you can think of here, there is a kind of motor or something here that creates, they call it like torque or moment, right? So if you remove all the muscles, you need something to do that, bring it up at like a rotation type of things, right? But what it does here is the muscles are doing it, right? Muscles are doing that job because of the moment arm and the forces that they generate. So for this movement, let's say flexion or extension, this extension, which muscle is working? Can you tell? Think about it. So for this one, you can tell because what muscles are doing are not really they're just contracting, right, or extend, like they're lengthening as well. And if you imagine, there are two bones, like what we have here. This is like a shin bone, and this is like your foot. And muscles, let's say, assume that the muscle attached here. So what's happening to this muscle is the only thing that it can do is contract, right, or lengthen, right? The muscles, soft tissue, and you cannot, right? They cannot themselves extend their length, right? Well, so if that happens, this muscle is working for which movement? Yep, nice. It works for this movement, right? Bending your knee, and the other way around, you can tell your quads are working for this kind of movements, and you're going all the way up, which is like a extension. Yeah. So in order to, you don't need, as I said, a lot of biomechanics background. So in order to say how well I can do this, so you can focus on which muscle are doing what and what you want to do, right? So what you want to do here, let's say if you want to do faster, say you want to reach here, yeah, and you want to do fast movement here. So which muscles are you need to work on? Cool. You need to work on your quad, but of course you don't want to just keep going, right? And all the way they call like activation. So you need some sort of support, right, or like a braking sort of, and these muscles are quite important as well. So it's like, that's why you can focus on your quads, sort of like a training your quad, and you can be fast, but then if you don't work on these two muscles, right, well, to sort of break or co-activate, the knee joint might be at risk because you can keep going and the knee joint ligaments might be torn and something like that, right? Or some other soft tissue. So you can see they're working in harmony, yeah. And of course the hip movement or hip joint is working here as well. But for now, let's simplify it. So this kind of like extension movement. So that's the case, right? So you don't need like huge setup like an EMG type of things, or like a muscle. You do like modeling to know exactly what muscle is doing. You can just touch your muscle, or just like understand it as I am explaining, to see which muscle is doing what, and then your training would be based on that, right? So if you want to go like say you want to do extension or flexion, right, like that. So which muscles are working? Great. You can tell which muscles are working. The hamstring works here, and sort of what you may call it, the calf muscles, right? And of course the hip. If you can tell what hip muscles will be doing here, it's also a very important part. So there are two things usually we focus: the performance, right, and the injury part, right? So what type of injuries, if you do these kind of extension, if you do quite fast movements of let's say you're extending your knee, what kind of injuries might happen? if you don't use some of your muscles, let's say your hamstring, for instance? Can you tell which muscles might be, or which type of injuries you can see or you can imagine, right? And that's one thing. And in terms of like, as I said, the performance, is it always the case that we can improve the performance without any issue? Is that the case always? So think about these ideas, and we will keep discussing as we go.